Some of the more observant Star Wars fans among you may have noticed that all of the walkers used by the Republic and Empire had an even number of legs, starting from 2 on your standard AT-STs all the way up to the quadrupedal AT-OTs. In a relatively recent video, we discussed the Republic and Empire's preference for walkers over other wheeled vehicles. There was one exception to this rule, however. Nicknamed the Spider Tank, the 3-legged AT-AP saw extensive usage during the end of the Clone Wars, most notably on planets like Kashyyyk, Felucia, and Seleucami. Its 3 legs made it stand out from the other AT series walkers. But why were 3-legged walkers so rare to see on a battlefield? Were 2 or 4 legs really better than 3? In this video, we're going to be answering these questions.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
For the purpose of this video, we're limiting our definition of walkers to heavy tanks. That means we're not counting droidicas, but we will be counting the larger Octuptarra tri-droids that the CIS loved to use against heavy Republic armor. For the most part in the Star Wars universe, most walker designs shared what's called mirror symmetry, also known as bilateral symmetry, where each side from the front to the back were identical. You'll see this in the design of all Republic and Imperial bipedal walkers, such as the AT-RT, AT-ST, AT-DP, AT-DT, and also on the larger walkers like the AT-AT, AT-TE, and AT-OT. These walkers had 4, 6, and 8 legs respectively, which allowed them to stay combat operational even if 1 or 2 of these legs were hit. This symmetrical design came with several major benefits. The first was standardization of parts, which made it easier for engineers to service and repair these walkers and would also save on the cost of parts. Another benefit was balance. Though most of these walkers filled the role of either a scout vehicle or a heavy battle tank, some were actually classified as artillery. While all military walkers had plenty of firepower, these self-propelled guns or SPG artillery units were essentially guns with walkers attached to them. Some examples of this included the Imperial AT-DT and Republic SPH-AT and the AT-AP. For these kinds of walkers, balance was particularly important to brace against recoil and to stabilize their main guns for greater accuracy when firing. In many cases, an even number of legs helped provide this stability. With that said, one of the most notable examples of an artillery walker was actually an exception to the even legs rule. The All-Terrain Attack Pod, or AT-AP for short, was manufactured by Kuat Drive Yards and was a tripedal walker designed to serve as a mobile artillery platform. As the Clone Wars dragged on, Republic commanders realized the need to diversify their armor and provide more options for mobile artillery to shell entrenched separatist positions. This walker was designed to fill that void. It had extremely powerful guns, with its main cannon more powerful than the main guns on AT-TEs, despite the walker's smaller size. The AT-AP also featured advanced optics and sights, which allowed it to accurately hit targets from far away, earning it the nickname Sniper Tank. Engineers and designers at Kuat took inspiration from the AT-TE, which was an extremely effective design. They took the foresection of the AT-TE and placed the main mass driver cannon in the middle, replacing the area where the cockpit would be. The walker's height was then doubled, giving it the increased visibility and range it needed for its role as a mobile artillery platform. In addition to the mass driver cannon, the AT-AP also featured a heavy laser cannon similar to the AT-TEs, which was open-topped and manned by a gunner. This was to provide the crew of the AT-AP with short-range anti-vehicle weaponry. Finally, it also featured an anti-infantry heavy repeating blaster on the underbelly of the walker. The AT-AP required a crew of 3 clones, a pilot and 2 gunners. It kicked some serious ass, but it had its fair share of shortcomings. While the AT-AP was reasonably well armored and intimidating, it was too specialized to be used on its own, and thus was often deployed alongside heavier armor such as HAV-W A6 Juggernauts or AT-TEs. It saw extensive use on the beaches of Kashyyyk, where many were deployed in the defense of Kachiro, as well as on Felucia. So what made the AT-AP an exception to the rule? Well, we'll let you in on a little secret. It wasn't. While most Star Wars fans know the AT-AP as a 3-legged walker, It was technically classified as a bipedal walker, since the third leg in the middle was retractable and used mainly to stabilize the enormous mass driver cannon mounted on the front of the walker. The third leg wasn't actually used for walking, just for holding the walker in place when they needed to fire. Even then, the third leg of the AT-AP was apparently seen as unnecessary by later engineers, since, after the Clone Wars, the Empire would later ditch this tripedal walker design in favor of a bipedal design with the introduction of the All-Terrain Defense Turret, or AT-DT. There were three-legged walkers that fought in the Clone Wars, however, and they were used extensively by the CIS. You're probably familiar with the Separatists' tripod walker, the Octuptarra tri-droid. This droid tank was manufactured by the Techno Union and was equipped with 3 rotating laser cannons. Some variants also had missile launchers or dispensers for biological weapons, which earned these war machines the nickname Virus Droid. The Octuptarra tri-droid was based on the Octuptarra, an 8-eyed, gas-bag-headed vine walker found on Skako, which was the reason for its unusual anatomy. The design of the Octuptarra tri-droid was different from its Republic counterparts in that the droid didn't really have a front side, opting for radial symmetry, which is symmetry around a central axis instead of bilateral symmetry. The Octuptarra had 360-degree vision thanks to its 3 strategically positioned photoreceptors, leaving it with no blind spots. This made it impossible to be ambushed from behind and also allowed it to have an omnidirectional field of fire. The droid had hydraulic legs with 3 joints, allowing them to scale steep surfaces and go over most obstacles. The Octuptarra was one of the Separatists' most effective heavy walkers, capable of taking out Republic tanks with ease, as seen in the Battle of Megiddo. However, it wasn't without its weaknesses, and its most notable stemmed from its unusual tripedal design. During the Battle of Christosis, Anakin Skywalker and Captain Rex took a small squad of jet troopers and successfully disabled several Octuptarra tri-droids by attacking their legs. For each of these droids, disabling just one of their legs made them unstable, causing them to crash. So why were 3-legged walkers like the Octuptarra so rare to see on a battlefield? First things first, we should address the question of the speed of these walkers. 2 legs were faster than 4 legs. The AT-ST had a top speed of 90 km per hour, while the AT-AT had a top speed of 60. However, though it might seem counterintuitive, 3 legs weren't faster than 4 legs or even 6 legs, since the AT-AP, AT-AT and AT-TE all had the same max speed. Some will argue that the AT-AP was slowed down by its heavy mass driver cannon, but the 2-legged Imperial AT-DP, which filled a similar role as the AT-AP, had a top speed of 90 km per hour. The same was true for CIS vehicles, since the Octuptarra Magna tri-droid had a top speed of 50 km per hour, while the 4-legged OG-9 homing Spider droid had a top speed of 50 to 90 km per hour. Thus, there was no real benefit for having 3 legs versus 2 or 4. The second thing to address is the distribution of weight. The reason the AT-TE had so many legs was to evenly distribute the weight of the heavy walker over a larger surface area. This is the same reason you see freight trucks with so many wheels on both sides. Distributing weight ensured the walkers didn't get stuck in unfavorable terrain or would cause bridges to collapse. Having 3 legs meant more weight was placed on each leg, which would limit the terrain that the walker could operate in. Even other self-propelled artillery pieces, such as the Republic AV-7 anti-vehicle cannon or Separatist J-1 proton cannon, featured 4 legs to better distribute the weight and the recoil of their cannons. But there were a few advantages to a tripedal design. It allowed the Octuptarra tri-droid to have no blind spots, a crucial asset for such a large vehicle. In our world, tank designers have obsessed with trying to attain that advantage, so much so that some of the earliest tank designs focused on radial symmetry to provide a 360-degree field of fire. The Octuptarra tri-droid design was perhaps the best and only example of how a 3-legged walker was meant to be used in the Star Wars universe. The AT-AP, while not a real tripedal walker, was also vital to the Republic's success in the final days of the Clone Wars. So the tripedal design wasn't all bad, it just wasn't for everyone. So that's why it was so rare to see 3-legged walkers on a battlefield. But what do you think? How many legs are on your favorite walker? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.